Hello, Meoni here. Welcome back to another video for Final Fantasy XIV, just to talk about housing delays. So in the live letters of the past, we were mentioned to have an update for housing. This focused on housing placement slots for small, medium, and large plots, basically increasing the amount of items that you were able to actually place outdoors as well as indoors on your property. There was also a feature that was being talked about where you could go into a small plot, for example, and redesign the interior to be a large or a medium, and vice versa if you wanted to. This is something that unfortunately, as of the 89th letter from a producer live, has been delayed until patch 7.5. Yoshi P had quite a bit of dialogue to talk about. That's recently been translated by the Final Fantasy XIV unofficial Discord translation team. So let's talk about that. Firstly, Yoshida, during the live letter, said, "Right now I'm seeing everyone from housing side feeling kind of jealous. But we are currently entering the final stage of the optimization push to increase the placement limit for the addition of slots for outdoor furnishing and indoor furnishing." He says, "I'm so sorry that it ended up taking that much time, and I'm very sure we can get it done by patch 7.5. I'm confident that we are able to increase the outdoor furnishing and indoor furnishing placement around by 1.5 times, and we're currently entering the final stage of optimizations. Currently we're focusing on speeding up the servers, and that's what we're doing right now." Foxclon then says, "So if you could provide us with a detailed explanation on this matter." So here we go. Yoshi says, "For this, well, you see, basically the so-called number of objects that can be placed, meaning where the players place these objects, are information we obviously have to manage entirely via our servers. Of course, this is a given when the players log out of the game. I mean, they have to log out, right? So that means that when the amount becomes 1.5 times higher than the total volume, our beloved CPU Kun," yes, that's what he says, "has to keep track of it all. And as you can imagine, our CPU Kun goes gah and ah with that kind of workload." Yeah, this translation's amazing, by the way. Thank you for this. "Under normal operations, we can manage it somehow, sure. But let's say when maintenance happens and we have to restart the server, for example. If we turn off CPU Kun's power, you can imagine CPU Kun would just go blank face at you. Now imagine... Now imagine me go, 'Now, CPU Kun, rise from your slumber so that you can welcome our Lord players into the game.' And when that happens, CPU Kun will have to go through the process to memorize everything all over again. And when the volume is now 1.5 times more, the CPU Kun will just hold its head and go, 'Wah!' apparently, which causes the time it takes to open the server getting higher." Yep, that's exactly it. In other words, and to simply put, we're optimizing them so that the server memorizes them quicker than they are doing currently. And as you can see, since we have so many worlds, if we get into cases where we need to perform emergency maintenance for whatever reason that comes up, like taking it down for a second and fixing it right away, it will end up taking 3 times as long or something like that. Plus, he says, "This was mentioned in the past, but I mentioned something about how you can get your housing interior to be glamoured into a large size, regardless of your current house size, so large, medium, and small, right? Well, the system is almost complete. Actually, it is finished, but here's the thing. Assuming everyone switches to a large size, this will also cause the number of furniture slot placements to increase, right? In this case, CPU Kun would, well, imagine if CPU Kun would have to perform these tasks simultaneously. Foxconn says this means CPU Kun would already... ... Yoshi P says, "Yep, imagine CPU Kun's eyes would go bloodshot and wring my neck because of all of the suffering. So for now, we are going to work on the final stage of optimizing the numbers where players can place and manage and then increase these numbers. That way we can increase the amount of placement number for a small house owner. The same goes for medium and then finally large size house owners as well." So we really need to get this part done properly first. Once that's done, we can work on allowing players to be able to change the interior size while ignoring the house size. We're aiming to deliver not only the indoor furnishings, but the outdoor furnishings simultaneously. So we're definitely in the final push for optimization. So it would be greatly appreciated if the players could just wait a little more. We're working and determined to make it happen without players having to get this update on the next expansion. And once we're done with this, we can finally move on to the glamour plates and so on. And then Foxconn says one by one in order. Yoshi B then says the plates, glamour plates, are the same as well. You can imagine the servers going over this. Of course, being able to swap them instantly means that it will involve some form of server communication and other factors, some parts omitted. Well, beyond that, we want to add more content, especially as a future change, where we want to add more things we can do in public fields, public areas. You are aware that you can only display current buffs up to 30 on a screen. Currently, yes. We really want to optimize that and do something about it, making it possible to develop more ways to play. Well, this would involve future content, and I might be getting ahead of myself here, but we plan to optimize things in order, step by step like this, making everyone's experience a lot more comfortable. For now, Glamour is going to go through huge changes, and we are working on the final phase of optimization on housing here, so I'd appreciate everyone's support on the matter. So also, public field likely refers to the zones that are not cities, you know, the place where you do your fates, etc. Yeah, so that's just for a bit of clarification. And thank you to Aluna Minori and the rest of the translation team over on the unofficial 14 Discord for this. Incredibly helpful. So we're likely going to see the housing placement slots in 7.5 increase by 1.5 times, which I don't know what that would be. For a large plot, we currently have 40 outdoor placement slots. So 1.5 times more than that would be, I don't know, right? But so that's coming for both indoor and outdoor. As for the wording, or at least the translated wording for the interior size changes, that could make it in within this expansion, but it's also leaning closer to not being in this expansion, right? So we'll have to see how that goes. That is a huge anticipated change for housing. Obviously, everybody with a small would like to have an increase in slot placements, but also the ability to change their interior to a large. This is a big thing that was talked about and has honestly been promised so far. Another thing that was mentioned a while ago that's not mentioned here that I'd love to ask Yoshi P myself if I ever got the option, if we don't get it before then, is they were also talking about making it so that what is currently a free company only feature, which is the company workshop, they were talking about bringing company workshops for personal housing as well. This was mentioned many live letters ago, right? A couple of years ago now, I think. Time moves so quickly. It's unbelievable. But that's also something else that we can expect in the future, right? So at least for now, housing placement slot increases, probably 7.5. They look like they're just trying to optimize things so that the server doesn't explode. And additionally, beyond that, the housing interior changes to a large plot if you've got a small, for example. And then presumably we're talking about other things, including glamour plates increases and stuff like that, glamour storage. So that does mean that 7.4, when it comes out on the 16th of December, has that huge glamour update. But because of the way that things are ordered within the company, within Creative Unit 3, it won't be until after 7.5, you know, probably even the next expansion, maybe, right? Maybe before then, if we cross our fingers a little bit, until we actually get the storage to place those extra items that you might want to glamour to. So it is a process that takes a very long time. I do wonder how many people are obviously in charge of these things. Obviously, it's quite a technical thing, because with an MMORPG, you don't want to make an update with everything all at once, right? Because you're going to have knock-on effects, and then the servers are going to be down and people won't be able to play the game that they're paying for. So these things do have to be done in situ, in a line, as he says, in an order. But let's hope that that order doesn't take too long to get through, so that we can get to the promised updates before the end of the expansion. Anyway, I thought it'd be interesting to actually talk about this and do a quick video, but I'm super excited about, obviously, this area of the game. We feature a lot of housing related stuff as well as glamour stuff on this channel, so I thought it'd be interesting to share with you in case you haven't visited the Discord channel with the translations. Of course, that will be linked in the description, all rights to them for this translation, and of course, you know, take everything with a pinch of salt. As far as I know, everything is translated, you know, perfectly, but there are always probably some omissions as well. But yeah, definitely interesting, and we didn't feature this before because obviously it took a lot of extra translation, so once again, thank you to the Discord community for putting this together. Anyway, let me know what you think about this. Are you happy about the delays? Obviously, that's going to be a loaded question. I think a lot of you are probably just going to be happy that these things are going to eventually happen. It's just a process of when, isn't it, really? But to have updates on this stuff is very important, so that people can prepare for the future and, of course, get excited for upcoming content in Dawntrail, right? Really excited for the next expansion, and I can't wait to see what big changes they make for that. But it looks like we're not done yet. We've got plenty of cool quality of life things on the horizon. Much love, and I'll see you all next time for more videos. Bye-bye.